And let us remember we're supposed to answer how we believe the other
The other
person.
person, yeah. Okay.
Alrighty. Feminism, homosexuality, and transgenderism all derive from the same false premise. All three of those things, feminism, homosexuality, and transgenderism, derive from the same false premise. I am ready when you are.
Okay.
Alrighty. Really? You have to drink, sir. And do I have to drink as well? Am I wrong?
Yes, you're wrong.
I am wrong. Okay, so explain your stance. How they don't all derive from the same premise.
Okay. So we have to look back in the day. So like the only like we're saying three aspects, right? I believe the two aspects are. I think that the third one was roped in um later down in life. So feminism. That's the big one. Feminism was was equality for women way back then, right? Like in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good cause. Like the original person that made it to like the rallies and like their protests and stuff like that was like that all they wanted was like to be able to work and to have equal rights to vote. Like that was the big thing. It was just a vote, to be honest. And so that was a really good thing. Now it's been twisted and manipulated that now it's like it's all over again. It's like they're back in the 1800s, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's like you were they're so fucking past that. Like you're getting more pay. Like you get so many more opportunities. Like um than men do, or whatever it is. Like we can argue
Mm-hmm.
about this all we want, but it's true. Women have opportunities that men are not afforded, and that it's just the way it is. It's not that like men want it or don't want it, or it's like it's been since the birth of man or whatever you want to call it. Is women have value when they first come into this world. It's just undeniable fact.
It is
Speaking
reality. What you're saying is you just don't rope in feminism with homosexuality and transgenderism, but those you would
right.
rope together.
Is that absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely,
Like
absolutely.
now like people are like now what it is like people are taking or like the feminism and roping it in with them is be and they're like, oh, with like equality and women rights and pay gap, and you're like, no, there's nothing like that. And now, what it is you have activists from each those two individual groups influencing like younger feminists or whatever you want to call them, and
Mm-hmm.
like now they're getting away from like their main point and their objective, which was back in the 1800s, which doesn't even matter. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, men are evil," and like that's not what the point was
That
back then.
was never the point.
So like, what the fuck? They just wanted to vote. Like then you got the vote, and then like then they're like, "Oh, well, we got to take it further. We got to go. How far can we go down this road?"
I suppose there is some truth to that. However, I believe that all forms of feminism are from the same exact people. And the reason I say that they derive from the same false premise, the premise that I am directly referring to is simply reality. So or reality and kind of like moral duty. So transgenderism, well, that's the easy one. It's realistically, a man can't become a woman can't become a man. Morally, you shouldn't be chopping your male bits off or your lady bits off. Homosexuality, I don't necessarily have a problem with homosexuality, though in the Bible it is stated as an abomination. So it is an intrinsic desire that people are realistically they're supposed to subdue those desires. You're supposed to keep them away, not actually act on them. It's like any other desire of lust, greed, any
Yeah.
other of the mortal sins. You're supposed to kind of refrain from that. Then in feminism, again, I see your point. I see a lot of people's points when they say that feminism was different in the first wave, but when it got to the second, the third, and I think there's even a fourth wave now, then it's getting a little bad. But I don't necessarily think so. I think from the beginning of feminism, there was this idea, really from documentaries I've watched and such, and people I've listened to, there was this idea that men were I don't want to put it like this because this is going to sound bad, that men and women were the same, which is inherently false. The idea of feminism is that, oh, a woman can do whatever a man can do. And while that might be partially correct, at the same time it isn't. Women are different from men. It is unrealistic to say that a woman and a man can be the same. And that's the base idea of feminism, is a woman can do whatever
Yeah.
a man can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you got to think about the so right is like men can do or women can do what men can do, but like can a woman go to war? Can a woman be an active soldier? And like I'm not bashing, right? I'm not just trying to disrespect women or anything like that. I think we all have important roles, but the thing about it is no, women cannot. You don't see women Navy SEALs. You don't see women Special Forces, or maybe they go into like the agency or agencies, right? But like they cannot actively go to war just because they have different biological systems and that allows them not to because there would be a health risk and a risk to the team on there's things that we can't things that they can't control and
I
have to
would
do. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, of course. I would also say we people who go to men who go to war, those are men. They're
Mm-hmm.
if they have a woman teammate, they're all going to be acting on a they're all going to want to protect her, and rightfully and naturally so. But that's going to be detrimental to their team outlook and or their
Mm-hmm.
team performance. I agree. I don't think women should go to war. I don't think women should be police officers. And that's not, again, that's like you said, it's not to bash on women, but that's just not roles where they fit in. There's this video I saw a while ago where these two women police officers run inside of a building, or they go inside a building, they don't run inside. There's a guy swinging a knife around, and he swings it at the one girl. She tases him, and then it doesn't work. The guy just keeps coming, and she runs out with her hands up like jazz hands. Now, one can
Mm-hmm.
say that's one instance, but it's very telling. The one instance is very telling, just alone. That alone is.
Don't get me wrong, like in history there's many tales of like heroism and courage and like in women, right?
Mm-hmm. Of
And
course.
but the thing about it is that men will always have the perception of a woman being weak and vulnerable and always having that innate inside of us. Like we cannot beat DNA, we cannot beat what's biologically attached to us to protect women. It's because they.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that from a woman. I think it's intrinsically wrong for a man to be weak, but there's nothing
Mhm.
necessarily wrong with a woman being physically weak. Her role is not to be strong.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you see these women, and I'm like, and I've had this conversation with. I've been married for 13 years now, and we've and I've had these conversations with my wife, and I've had these conversations with friends of mine that are women, and they're like, "Oh," and I was like, "Let me put it in perspective for you." I was like, if if you're with a man, I was like, and you just come out of a club or come out of a bar, and a guy comes up, and another guy comes out and has a knife or threatening you, and I was like, and the man you're with is fucking, he runs off like bit, runs off. Um, what is your perception of that man? Like, you ain't gonna want to be with that. He's weak. He's not. He has no courage. He's not a warrior. He doesn't want to protect. Like, you're gonna drop him immediately.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. No matter what any feminist or e-girl, emo boy loving e-girl says, the moment something like that happens, they drop them immediately because they want their men to be strong. They want their men to be fighters, and once they realize their man isn't fun biologically, you can even say they're just repulsed.
Yeah, absolutely. Your body shuts down, or it's just turned off from that individual or from individuals like that. There's like, why do you think the woman always returns to the abusive husband? Or they say it's mental manipulation, but like say that there was acts of courage, there was acts of of heroism, and or certain situation. Be like, maybe that's why they're staying. And are they staying for the wrong reasons? But there's that once again biological attachment again.
No, precisely, precisely.